Good morning.
Good
Morning, guys.
morning.
Happy
Happy
Simpson.
Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy back to school. I'm dressed down today, taking the kids and then picking them up here in 2 hours for half days. Happy back to school.
Why did they do that? Back to
Half
school in
day.
like 2 days. It's like, just throw them in. Like, it's time to go to school. This gradual entry stuff. Anyways, my kids
I hear
start
you.
next week, but I thought a really good topic for us to discuss today is how do we save for college? So, although our kids are young, before we know it, they're going to be off to college. So saving sooner than later is obviously a good idea. And there's lots of different options for saving for college. So I thought maybe we can touch a little bit about on the different options and kind of what these plans look like. So Joe, I'm going to throw it over to you. I know there's something called a 529 plan that people have heard about. What is the 529 plan and when does that make sense to invest in?
Sure. One thing I'm going to say first, though, is the word college. I'm going to pull that out of
Oh
there
yeah,
because what we've seen with these accounts is they've opened up a lot more to different education options. So that could be K through 12 if children go to a private school, Catholic school. It also could be trade certifications. It could be different adult education programs that are available. What we've seen since 2017 is really two sets of legislation that has liberalized or opened up the use for 529s. Because to Julie, to your point, used to be like basically college or bust is what
right.
you have to save in these. Now there's other options.
Yep.
So the primary benefit of the 529 is to allow for tax-free growth on money set aside for future education purposes. You can use college to fill in the blank there, but I'll say education. So generally, the younger you start, the better, because that gives more time to benefit from tax-free interest, tax-free dividends, and tax-free capital growth gains, both at the federal and state level. So that's the primary benefit that we see for 529 plans.
Now, Tucker, could you touch on some of the other types of savings plans that are out there? Because I think being a mom and starting out saving for my children, I was a little confused as to, which one is the better one for our family. Or can you
Yeah.
use both? Can you use multiple savings plans? Can you
Yeah,
touch on
so I'll
that?
start with another popular savings plan that people have been using is called a Coverdell. Its full name is Coverdell Education Savings Account. People just kind of call it Coverdell. It's very similar to a 529 and kind of what it wants to accomplish. But I would say there's probably some more restrictions on it as well. You tend to be able to contribute less per beneficiary each year than a 529. For Coverdells, I think it's $2,000 a year that you can contribute. Whereas for 529s, there's not really any yearly contribution max that you can put in. I mean, there's gifting laws and stuff like that that go into consideration with that, but the contribution limits every year tend to be a lot higher for the 529s. And then, but they both can go towards K through 12. So kind of similar with that. They are with Coverdells as well. There is a phase out for a limit to the income that you can make as well as like a parent or like someone who contributes to those accounts as well. So I would say I mean they're both very useful tools. But I think the 529, kind of like Joe touched on, has really been expanded a lot over the last few years. And in terms of how much can be contributed, who can contribute, and then what those funds can be used for. And then another really cool tidbit about the 529s as well is that here in Maryland, each person who contributes can get a tax credit up to $2,500 a year. So if mom and dad both decide to put $2,500 for a total of 5,000 a year, they can get a $5,000 tax credit, um, which
Tax
is
deduction.
tax
So it's a
deduction.
subtraction from income, so
Yes,
tax deduction. But that, yeah,
deduction.
you're right. And then each state is different. So, talk to your tax advisor to make sure that it's correct for your individual state because each state has different rules. But Tucker, you're exactly right. Is you get a nice tax deduction. So that's a goodie from Maryland to be able to do that.
Yep.
Um, Julie, another thing that, let's use you and your husband as a hypothetical example.
Yep.
A benefit of the 529, so you could do just a regular investment account or a Uniform Trust for Minors Act UTMA account for your kids. So no restrictions, no education requirement, like no strings on it. Downside is when your kid's 21, they have access to the money.
Okay.
So your kids are young, so this is a little bit of a joke. But like you can look at your three kids and you know which one already. You're like, I don't want that kid having money at 21. You
Absolutely.
probably already can tell.
Yep.
So the 529 allows the parent to keep control of it, and it's never the child's money. You could always move it to the other siblings. You could move it to nieces and nephews. You could transfer that around. So another option. Tucker's right. Coverdale is one. We are seeing those used less, but that's another one. The third option to think about is just a regular investment account in the kid's name. Benefit there is the dividends and interest are probably going to be below the income limit or the deduction level for young kids. But the drawback of a UTMA is you got to turn the keys over when the kid's 21, and some parents may not like the idea of that. Whereas the 529 allows you to maintain control.
Now, Joe, with the UTMA, when they are 18, is that what you said? 18 years old?
18 or
Or
21, depending
21?
on the state you live in. So
Okay.
work with your tax advisor to know what the rules are in your state.
And at that point, could they choose to just move it into like an individual account, a taxable account in their name and continue to invest the money, or do they have to withdraw it at that time?
Good. That's a great question. So more times than not, if we set up a investment account in the name of children, and I have these for my kids, investment accounts set up in their name, when
Mhm.
they are turned 21, they have the control of it. So more times than not, we see exactly what you're describing is basically the parent gets removed as the custodian and the kid steps in and manages the money. And it's one of their first experiences managing money. I did have one circumstance in my career where the child showed up on their 21st birthday, actually with their significant other, and said, "Where's my money?" Like thinking they were gonna like take bank out, like a bank withdrawal. That is the downside, is once it's your 21st birthday, the parents can't do a thing to stop the child from pulling the money out and maybe using it on activities they wouldn't approve of. So that's a drawback of it. The positive is the same as the negative, is there's no restrictions. So most children, when they're 18 or 21, they take over the responsibility to manage the account. More times than not, they act prudently, but there are exceptions to every rule, so you have to kind of know your children and know the situation they're in.
Yeah, I think the other thing too to go with the UTMA is the tax treatment as well. I mean, the one of the big I feel like positives of like the 529 and the Coverdale is, if you can put the money in, and then if everything grows, the investments grow, and then if you use it for qualified expenses, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So that's not true of the UTMA, which is, one of the another big draw of those two accounts versus the UTMA or a traditional investment account.
Yep.
But
Great
yeah,
information, guys. So if you're listening, you need some more information, definitely reach out to your advisor. We can definitely help hold your hand and get you set up with either or all of the investments. So thank you guys for your time. Welcome. Goodbye, summer. Welcome, fall. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks,
thank
Tucker.
you guys.